In this video, you are going to be learning about prefix multipliers. In chemistry, all of our numbers have units. So we have a unit for length. Our base unit for length is meter. We have a unit for mass. Our base unit for mass is gram. We have a unit for volume. Our base unit for volume is liter. And we have a unit for energy. Our base unit for energy can either be calories or joules. And we haven't talked about energy yet. So with all of these base units, we can use prefix multipliers to give them a different meaning, to make them portray a different size. So for example, you could have centimeter. Okay, so you're familiar with the unit centimeter, and centi is a prefix multiplier that tells us how much of a meter we're using. For grams, we could have milligrams. So in this case, milli is our prefix multiplier. It's telling us that we have a pretty small gram. For liter, you could have kiloliter. Okay, so kilo is our prefix multiplier. That means we have a very, very large amount. Kilo is big. And lastly, for calorie, we could have a microcalorie. And that is a very, very small amount. So let's look at what these prefix multipliers really mean. So you have this paper, and if you ever see N, that is a prefix multiplier, nano, and that means 10 to the negative 9th. So if I have 8 nanometers, okay, so here's my prefix multiplier. This is my base unit. I know I'm talking about length because I have meters. So if I have 8 nanometers, what this is really saying is I have 8, and then nano means 10 to the 9th, 10 to the negative 9th meters. So I have 8 times 10 to the negative 9th meters. So I have a very, very small amount. If I have micro, let's say I have micrograms, okay, so let's say I have 5 micrograms. This tells me micro means 10 to the negative 6. So this tells me I have 5 times 10 to the negative 6 grams, because micro means 10 to the negative 6. So I'm just replacing 10 to the negative 6 with micro. Okay, so the same goes for all of these other ones, where milli means 10 to the negative 3rd. So if I had 3 milliliters, this means I have 3 times 10 to the negative 3rd liters. Again, this and this, my milli and my 10 to the negative 3rd, are the same thing. So I am simply replacing milli with 10 to the negative 3rd. And the pattern continues. So centi means 10 to the negative 2nd, kilo means 10 to the 3rd, and mega means 10 to the 6th. So if I have a megagram, let's say I had 2 megagrams, this means I have 2 times 10 to the 6th grams, okay? So I have 2 million grams. So go ahead and turn to worksheet 6, and we're going to do some of these together. So the first one says 74 centimeters, and we are trying to convert it into meter. So we need to go from centimeter to meter. So the way we think about this is we have this length. Let's say this is our length, and this is 74 centimeters. I am not trying to change this length at all. I am just trying to change my units. So the length itself doesn't change, which means I'm going to need to use a conversion factor here. So I need something to equal something else. I'm not changing the value. I'm really going to be multiplying 74 centimeters times 1. So I don't change that value, but I want to convert the units. So I know that centi means 10 to the negative 2nd meters. So 10 to the negative 2nd meters would equal 1 centimeter, because centi and 10 to the negative 2nd are the same. That's what centi means, 10 to the negative 2nd. So this is called an equivalence factor. So since I want to convert into meters, I need to end up with meters in my numerator. And since I want to get rid of centimeters, I need to divide by centimeters, because centimeter divided by centimeter equals 1, and we call that canceling out. So the centimeters will cancel out. So the number that goes next to centimeter is 1, and the number that goes next to meters is 10 to the negative second. So then I multiply across, and I get 74 times 10 to the negative second. And negative 2 means I move my decimal place backwards twice. So I really have 0.74 meters. So in the next one, our prefix multiplier is kilo, and I'm trying to get it to regular grams, our base unit. So I know that 1 kilogram, kilo means 10 to the third grams. So again, I am just replacing the K, kilo, with 10 to the third, because those are the same exact thing. That's what kilo means. So since I have kilograms, I'm going to put that on the bottom in the denominator, so my kilograms cancel out, and I need to convert it into grams, so grams will go in the numerator. Now I have 1 kilogram is equal to 10 to the third grams. So this is how my equivalence factor will look. So now I multiply, and just a quick refresher on how to multiply exponents. Okay, if I have exponents and I'm multiplying them, then I'm really adding them. So negative 2 plus 3 gives us 1. So I have 8.32 times 10 to the first, which is really 83.2 grams. Okay, pause the video and try and do these, and when you finish doing 3 and 4, push play on the video and check your answer. Go ahead and check your answers. I just want to also point out, notice in number 4 we have an exponent in the denominator. This means we are subtracting. So I made my original number into scientific notation by moving the decimal point so it was only behind one number. And so now I have negative 3 minus 3, which gives me negative 6. So my new exponent is negative 6. Okay, so go ahead and complete numbers 5 through 9, and when you're ready, come back for number 10. So in number 10, we are trying to convert from days into seconds. So we need to use any conversion factors we know. Well, I know I can convert days into hours. I know that 1 day is equal to 24 hours. I also know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes. Lastly, I know that 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. So now I have 3 different conversion factors I can use. I'm starting with day, so day needs to go into the denominator. And the only thing I know off the top of my head is how to convert days into hours. So hours will go in the numerator. So I'll have 24 hours is equal to 1 day. So notice these units, days, cancels out. I'm left with hours. But I don't want to be left with hours. I want to be left with seconds. So I need to keep going. So now that I have hours, I want to get rid of hours. So hours goes in the denominator. And I can convert hours into minutes. So I'm going to have 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. So now my hours cancel out, and I'm left with minutes. So now minutes goes in the denominator, so I can cancel that out. And I need to end up with seconds, so that will go in the numerator. And I know 1 minute equals 60 seconds. So now I can multiply all of these across. I'll multiply all my numbers across, and I will get my amount of seconds. For my next question, number 11, I'm going from millimeters, so there's a prefix multiplier there, to kilometers. So since I'm going from a prefix multiplier to a prefix multiplier, I'm going to do this in 2 steps. That way I can convert into my base unit first. So if I have 1 millimeter, milli means 10 to the negative third. So I have 10 to the negative third meters. Again, milli is the same thing as 10 to the negative third, so this is an equivalent statement. So millimeters goes in the bottom because I need to get rid of that, and meters is on top. I have 10 to the negative third meters per 1 millimeter. Those are equal. So now millimeters cancels out and I'm left with meters, but I need to get to kilometers. So how do I connect meters to kilometers? Well, I know that 1 kilometer equals 10 to the third meters because kilo, that K, means 10 to the third. So those are equal. So I'll input that statement, that equivalency statement. So meters goes on bottom in my denominator and kilometers goes in my numerator. And for every 1 kilometer, I have 10 to the third meters. My meters cancel out and I can do my calculation. So I know I'm going to have 5 times something. So if I have 10 to the 4th times 10 to the negative third, I'm really adding those. So that's 4 plus negative 3 divided by 10 to the third, so that's minus 3. So that will give me negative 2. So I'll have 10 to the negative 2. That's it for this video. Please continue completing. Make sure you finish part 1 and part 2 on this worksheet.